You know, I have to stop doing that because I get exhausted dancing like that.
I get excited dancing like that.
Welcome to our Valley, Santa Clarita. My name is Bill Miranda. I'm your co-host along with my co-host, Nancy Angel.
Nancy Angel, that's right.
The beautiful and talented Nancy Angel.
Thank you, thank you.
So what a great week we had last week.
We did.
We talked with Eddie Perez and talked about the American dream.
I'm still thinking about it, by the way.
Yeah, that was good.
It was an amazing interview and an amazing experience as an interviewee.
Yeah. And this week, our guests are going to be equally as exciting, equally as educating, because they're from the education system.
Power couple.
A power couple. All right, so we're going to talk about education. The theme of this show is education and what it means to you toward having a successful, financially successful, and a rewarding life.
Definitely. I can't wait to talk about it.
Before we bring our guest on, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about education and how important it is to be successful in life.
There are a million places you'd never consider texting. So why would you do it while driving? Leave risky driving to the professionals. Stop the texts, and together we can stop the wrecks.
The smallest moments can have the biggest impact on a child's life. Have you been a dad today?
This is a channel for the community. This is a channel for the community.
We're the Santa Clarita Valley's only television channel, but we're more than just a media outlet.
Welcome back to our Valley, Santa Clarita. On today's show, we're going to be talking about education. And speaking of education, Bill, you want to know one of the first things that people told me about Santa Clarita besides, Six Flags Magic Mountain, because every time I ask people, oh, I'm from Santa Clarita, or every time I tell them that I live there, they're like, oh, that's by Six Flags, right? But one of the things that people told me when I moved to Santa Clarita, that the reason why the SCV is such an amazing place to live is because it has an amazing educational system. And being able to work as a reporter and kind of being able to visit the schools and the educators and also the athletic department, I was able to see why, Santa Clarita just has an amazing education system. So I continue to see that every single day, and that's one of the reasons why so many families live here and love this place.
Actually, that's the reason my family moved here 32 years ago.
I didn't know that.
32 years ago, we were moving from another location, and we were moving back to the Los Angeles area, and we were looking for an area that had great schools that we could afford to live in. So we researched Beverly Hills, great schools, we couldn't afford to live there. Palos Verdes, great schools, we couldn't afford to live there. And out of nowhere, we found Santa Clarita, great schools, and we could afford to live there. So it was a fantastic journey for us. I worked downtown at the time, and the commute was a little dicey, I thought, but it turns out it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. And I commuted downtown, down the 5, and home, up the 5. I got used to it. Worth every moment of commute to live in Santa Clarita and to have my kids raised in the educational system here in Santa Clarita. I have kids that went to grammar school here, junior high here, high school, high school here, who went to COC, who went to UCLA, who went to Cal State Northridge. So all local and blessed by the fact that the high schools and the junior high and the grammar schools here were teaching really, really good stuff, and my kids were getting a good education. So sorry for a long answer,
No,
but
not at
yeah,
all.
I think the educational system here was the main reason why we moved, and is the main reason why a lot of families moved to Santa Clarita.
And if I'm being completely honest with you, my mother and my younger brother are actually looking into moving to Santa Clarita, and my brother is huge into sports. And one of the things that I told him about Santa Clarita is, you know what, Omar? The Santa Clarita Valley has an amazing school system, amazing athletics, and he definitely wants to come specifically because he wants to get an education here and he wants to be able to play the sports here. I told him about Valencia, I told him about Hart, I told about, you know, Golden Valley, and just all of these great things that the Santa Clarita has to offer in terms of education, and we'll see what happens though.
Right, right. Well, I would love it if your family moved down
We'll
here.
see what happens.
But the other thing I want to say is, it's not just the Santa Clarita Valley. We have educational opportunities that stretch all the way up into the Antelope Valley. The Antelope Valley, and in particular I'm talking about the University of Antelope Valley, is a very, very strong university that's built by some very, very strong-willed and determined and people just like you and me.
Definitely.
Ordinary people who have done extraordinary things up there in the Antelope Valley. We're going to have them as our guest after we finish this segment. I just wanted to add in this segment that education is the key to success. Without a proper education, it's very hard, very difficult to be successful in life. And let me explain something. When I say education, I'm not just necessarily talking about an academic education. Sure, academic educations are great and we want academic educations, but there are also educations in the skills, all right? You could be a carpenter, you could be an electrician, you could be a window washer, you could be a maintenance man like Eddie Perez was, all right? But he took the time to learn his trade. So if we take the time to learn our trade, to learn our skill sets, whether you're a teacher, as they used to say in the day, a butcher, a baker, a candlestick maker. Any one of those things requires a skill.
Definitely.
And if you go and achieve that skill, if you learn that skill, if you master that skill, you will be successful in life.
Definitely, and we live in such a competitive market where, you know, having an education is key to succeed in life, to make a decent amount, you know, of living, because there's a lot of competition out there.
Whoa.
And there's a lot of
There is.
competition out there,
There
so
is.
you need to be on your A game and you need to be able to get, you know, the best education out there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And when we come back, we'll talk to Sandra and Marco Johnson, who realized the American dream and did so with education.
Definitely.
Every parent knows the feeling. You look away and your child is gone. Imagine if he or she were actually abducted. Sign up at wirelessamberAlerts.org to get free Amber Alert text messages on your cell phone. If you did help an abducted child get home, just imagine what his parents would be feeling. Wireless Amber Alerts. A child is calling for help.
Explore new worlds. Read. Visit literacy.gov and let the journey begin.
No matter where you live, life in the ocean depends on you. To help protect our ocean, recycle and dispose of your trash properly. To learn what you can do, go to keepoceansclean.org.
Welcome back. I'm Bill Miranda. Our Valley Santa Clarita is a show. I'm here with my lovely and talented co-host Nancy Angel, and we are excited. We have our special guests, Sandra and Marco Johnson from Antelope Valley.
AKA
welcome.
Power couple, right?
AKA the power couple.
Our pleasure. Thanks for having us.
So Sandra, rather than a long introduction, because both of you have done so much in your lives, the introduction would take the whole time that we have. You came to this country as a young gal.
Yes.
From Chile.
Yes. Yes.
Tell
Came
us
from
about
Chile
that.
at 5 years old. Through, as so many of us have an American story to tell, the American dream. Our parents, when they fell in love and had me out of love, they realized that for me to have a better life, they needed to move to the best country ever, and that's the United States of America. So they moved, and we lived in a 2-bedroom duplex, and it was 8 of us family members. The beautiful thing that we're very proud of is my mom always said, do things right from the very beginning.
Yes.
And so she did all of her research to make sure that we got to this country legally. And through hard work, my mother making empanadas in her little kitchen and selling them to the neighbors, they really stressed that education is the key. And they made sure to make sure that I knew that and to have the opportunity to go to college. However, through the struggles of finances and the humble beginnings that we grew up in our neighborhood, I was accepted to college. Unfortunately, couldn't financially afford it. My husband had also his fairy tale story, and we combined our stories together, and we were able to found a university, which right now is the University of Antelope Valley, through the struggles of our own lives and trying to make a difference.
Excellent. Excellent. So Marco, you met Sandra in high school.
Yeah, we actually, she began stalking me in junior high school. And I finally succumbed to her stalking in high school. Yeah, we dated in Antelope Valley High School. After high school, I was forced to attend the University of Hawaii.
Forced?
Wait. Let me interrupt you just a little bit. I want our viewers to know and understand that this beautiful lady was a cheerleader, and this handsome young man over here was a football player, and that helps the matchup.
It does.
It did help. It did help. I think it camouflaged her stalking. And, we got that much closer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was fortunate enough to receive a scholarship to the University of Hawaii. I spent 5 rough, grueling years there.
Yeah.
After which I was very fortunate enough to be drafted into the National Football League. I spent 2 years trying to find a home, but all the while I had a dream to become a firefighter paramedic, and more specifically a firefighter paramedic for the city of Los Angeles. Fulfilled that dream back in 94-ish, 94. And Sandra and I at the time had a steadily young son that we were raising. And it was interesting, when I would come home from the fire station, Sandra got tired of me complaining about how I wished someone would have initiated CPR first aid before we got on scene. Right. Being the supportive wife that she is, she told me to stop complaining and do something about it. So started teaching CPR and first aid on my days off from the station. Sandra would set up appointments with doctors' offices, with dental offices. I'd come home from the station, she'd kind of direct me to where I needed to go back to the station the next day. One thing led to another. We realized that we needed a brick and mortar in order for people to, if they lost their cards or if they wanted to come to a facility, because prior to that we were basically working out of our car. So we found a small 400 square foot facility, had some of my firefighter buddies come over, and we strategically took down walls.
You had a pizza and paint party.
Right.
So we had this facility. One thing led to another. And at the time, our amazing community college, Antelope Valley College, was the only institution where EMT was being taught. But they had an amazing program, but the waiting list was 2 years long. So we got requests. We went to the county, went to the state, and got the blessing to the approval to teach the EMT program. So we taught that program for about 6 months or so. And Things started to evolve. I was still doing the firefighting thing and teaching the EMT and CPR courses. And Sandra was working up front with the business as well as a paralegal and raising our son at the time. One thing led to another. We added a medical assistant program, then a paramedic program, then a nursing program. And before we knew it, we had basically evolved into a trade school or a vocational school. Things began to grow. We moved from that 400 square foot facility into a 6,000 square foot facility.
Ooh, big change.
Yeah,
Yeah.
drastically, yeah, quickly.
Yeah. And I was the one that was all gung-ho to do it, and Sandra's crunching numbers, and she's like, I don't know if this is going to work, honey. But everything worked out. Before we knew it, we had moved into a 45,000 square foot facility. It had about 50 employees. We still had our day jobs. This was in early 2000 or so. And then we realized that some of our students were having a difficult time paying for their education. I can let Sandra chime in on this, but we realized we needed to offer financial aid, government financial aid, Title IV funding to our students. If you want
And
to
during that time is when we realized that we need to get a hold of the Department of Education. And when we did, we realized that we need to be accredited. And during that process, we went through the process of being nationally accredited. However, through this whole journey that my husband had the honors to express, there were a lot of sacrifices. There were days that we couldn't pay mortgage, we couldn't pay gas, we couldn't even pay for food. And so our child went to grandma's house for a field trip so that he could be able to eat and be in a warm home. We even slept in our vehicles to make sure that this dream happened. But when you truly believe in something and you have, the strength of the partner that we have, the dream became reality. And in July of 2009, we became, in 2000 we became nationally accredited, and in July 2009 we were able to offer a master's program, which is when we became a university.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I want you to continue with this fantastic story.
Great, thank you.
Hi, I am Cesar Milan with Junior. In Santa Clarita, we love our dogs, and in our role as pack leaders, it is important that we do everything to keep our pets safe and healthy. This is why it is so important to license your dog through Los Angeles County Animal Control. Licensing your dog will make it possible for them to be returned to you in case they get lost or stolen. You will also get important reminders when your dogs are due for vaccination. Show your dog you care and license them today.
Santa Clarita is Southern California's entertainment destination. Just minutes from LA, Santa Clarita's year-round weather means you can enjoy year-round fun. Like thrilling coasters and water parks, premium shopping, destination day spas, fine dining, outdoor adventure, and major events such as wine festivals, golf tournaments, and the Cowboy Festival. Santa Clarita, always in season.
Welcome back to Our Valley, Santa Clarita. Today with us we have Sandra and Marco Johnson, the CEOs of the University of Antelope Valley. So let's pick up right after you left off.
Thank you. As we were saying, the sacrifices that need to be made to make dreams come true. As Marco was saying, we had a 45,000 square foot building that we were renting at the time. And as I love to crunch numbers, I realized we're paying way too much for our lease as opposed to owning property.
That's not quite the language you use.
No, but we won't say that. We're on camera right now. Yeah. And then, so my husband did a lot of research, and he found this area on Sierra Highway, which was forgotten, and which was kind of not given any TLC with our community. So that's when we realized there was a hotel, which actually that's where we had our prom. At the time, it was called Antelope Valley Inn. So we went in there, and as soon as we walked into the area, it was a hotel at the time, but as soon as we walked in, immediately we felt that it was a campus.
Right.
And that's when we knew we need to invest in this area, not just because of the hotel that it was, but because of the TLC that it needed. So we went ahead and invested, and we, at that time, as we were saying, July 2009, we decided to go to a different agency to be nationally accredited, and we went and were able to offer a master's program and became accredited with ACICS. And that's when my husband and I sat down and realized that we have a bigger calling. And for decades in our community, we've been hearing, we wish we had our own university. And everyone has been saying that. And that's when we realized, you know what, this is the opportunity to be able to say we do have our own university.
Excellent.
And so through the sacrifices and the joys and the strength of our relationship. We are continuing this journey, and very soon, from a national accredited institution, we'll be regionally accredited, which is the same institution or same family circle as Northridge, Stanford, Georgetown, and so on.
Wow.
And so our community will truly see a university being born. And through this whole journey, my husband and I were proud to say that we did have our second child. And so Tiffany is our little trophy that it kind of symbolizes all of the hard work and the purpose of why we even started the company. So.
One of the things I find amazing is that that was not your intent initially. You started a CPR company.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Our goal was to basically provide CPR training to our community.
Yeah.
It's interesting you bring that up, Bill. We last year certified close to 7,000 people in our community in CPR and first aid.
Wow.
And over the past 16, 17 years, we're closing in on 100,000 people that we've certified in CPR and first aid and or recertified.
Right.
100,000.
100,000, yeah. It's been an amazing thing that we haven't forgotten where we came from and the importance. You know, a side note here, we have a lot of our instructors and professors are right from the profession that they teach the program. Our fire science program is taught by a retired LA City fire captain. It's really cool story. He was at a country club out in Lancaster or Palmdale, went into cardiac arrest. This is a guy who teaches this program, went into full arrest. CPR was started not less than 2 minutes after the witnessed arrest. Paramedics came on scene, they intubated, zapped him a bunch of times, transported him. They got him to the hospital, everything just went right. 3 days later, the guy's calling me and talking to me and saying, Marco, when do I get back on the schedule? So that is what instills us and drives us to continue teaching CPR. We won't leave our roots. But Captain Dave Moore, he's back at work. Less than a week later, he's driving around, talking, walking. So CPR definitely works.
Sure, it's not just that you've taught 100,000 students in CPR, but there's a number out there. I don't know if you even know the number. There's a number out there of lives that you've helped save.
Sure, there is. Yeah,
that's incredible.
We've
That's
heard
amazing.
stories. We've heard stories of people that have taken the class and they come back and say, we were at a restaurant and someone was choking and I was able to give them the Heimlich maneuver. Their child went into choking on a hot dog. They did so we've heard many stories of lives being saved, which is what's rewarding to us because again, that's how it all started. We were trying to have our second child. We had numerous miscarriages. So to save other children, that's when we decided, let's start teaching CPR and first aid.
And just a quick note, the vast majority of the time when you are performing CPR, first aid, or a first Heimlich maneuver, it's on a family member. So that's something to keep in mind if you're contemplating on whether or not taking a CPR class.
Oh, absolutely. I think everybody should take it.
You guys also have a foundation, is that right?
We do, yes. That's funny you asked. We just started our foundation about less than a year ago, and it's called the Marco and Sandra Johnson Foundation. And through all the blessings that we've been able to have in our life and be able to live American dreams, we thought that we're not the only ones that go through things that we've gone through, as I shared with you earlier, the humble beginnings that I grew up in. So we decided to start a foundation so we can give back to our community and be able to give the well-deserved entertainment, such as jazz festivals, Hispanic music festivals, but also more importantly, we wanted to start a center. We haven't thought of a name yet, but it's basically to give the children free dance classes, free music classes, free tutoring, and also for the adults to do free tattoo removals, prepare them for the working world, and free medical and dental checkups monthly. So we're working hard on that foundation. And again, it's all because you should never forget where you came from and always make a difference.
And give back.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're always put in a position for those reasons and those reasons alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
We only have a short 50 seconds
So
left.
we're going to focus on me now?
No, actually, I want you to be quiet so I can talk to Sandra.
Bill.
The story of my life, yeah.
We only have a little while left. The University of Antelope Valley. Who should go there and why?
Well, that's a great question. I think anyone that wants to be a productive citizen should go to any institution to receive an education. Any individual that wants to make a difference, not for themselves, but for their families and their community, should attend any university because education truly is the key to success. And we feel that we have a great arena to attend so that these families can be an example for their children and for their community and be productive. And we're there to help them every step of the way, whether it be at University of Antelope Valley or anywhere.
You're blessed to have Marco.
I am.
He's blessed to have you.
Thank
and
you.
We're blessed to have you on our show.
Oh, thank you
Very
so
kind
much.
words.
We appreciate that.
Thank you for coming.
You guys have a tremendous operation and service that you provide for the community. You should be very proud.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Very well.
When we come back, Nancy and I will have a few last words.
Hey, Mike, give me another one.
The cost of one more drink, $4.50. The cost of a DUI, severe fines and loss of freedom. Causing innocent loss of life, unimaginable. The value of acting responsibly,
On second thought, why don't you call me a cab?
priceless. Drinking and driving are not worth the cost. Call a friend or taxi to get home safely.
A lot has changed since 1887, but in Santa Clarita, one thing has remained the same. For more than 125 years, the Saugus Cafe has served up fresh potatoes, homemade gravy, delicious hollandaise sauce, and the best chili in town. We're family owned and operated, and here you'll be treated like family too. Come in for dinner where 3-course meals start under $11. While you're here, enjoy a cold beer or a classic cocktail from our bar. Come enjoy the nostalgia, great food, and the camaraderie. The Saugus Cafe. It only gets better with age.
Devastating fires can be caused by something easily preventable, such as the misuse of paint thinners and solvents. New regulations to protect our air quality require thinners and solvents to be much less polluting, but they may be more flammable. On behalf of fire marshals throughout Southern California, please continue to follow these simple tips. Use only in well-ventilated areas. Use and store them away from flames. Properly dispose of all such liquids. Follow the instructions on the label. Please use all solvents and thinners responsibly so you can avoid this happening to you.
Welcome back. Wow, what a show.
It was definitely an enriching experience to be able to hear Marco and Sandra's story.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And we learned something every single show.
And through every single guest as well.
Yeah. So about the American dream, what do Eddie Perez, Sandra, and Marco Johnson have in common? Let's think about it. Okay. Hey, they both, the three of them,
yes,
started out of their cars.
They did. They started from the bottom.
All right. They had no offices. They had no facilities. They started rock bottom, and they just moved forward. And it went from, I mean, Sandra and Marco went from the car to 400 square feet, from 400 square feet to 6,000 square. What a jump.
Lots of bumps in the road as well, don't you agree?
Yeah.
But despite that, they were able to push forward because they had a vision in mind, and they weren't going to stop until they got there.
And from 6,000 square feet to 250 square feet, they bought the ex-hotel?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, how does that happen? Imagination, passion, persistence.
Determination.
Determination. Faith, courage.
Definitely.
You gotta have courage. Speaking of courage, next week, we're gonna have a very courageous gentleman. He's our congressman.
Oh. Ooh, what a special treat.
Steve Knight is gonna be here, and he's gonna help us unravel some of the government issues that are facing us today. So, tune in to next week's show.
Don't forget to like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, and send us your suggestions at ourvalleysantaclarita.com.
And remember, mi casa
es su casa.
es su casa.